Hello everyone, welcome to Meowth Loves Math. Today Meowth will be solving paper 9709 variant 11. It's a May June paper 2024 and the time duration is 1 hour 50 minutes and it's pure math 1 for AS level. Alright, so friends, I'll be discussing about in detail different ways of solving these questions. Alright, so let's start. So here we see the first question is express 3y square minus 12y minus 15 in the form where a and b are constants. Okay, so ideally your approach will be to do completing the square method. Okay, most of you will try complete the square, which I don't follow. So I usually go ahead with expanding the form. Okay, what I prefer is always expand the form. Okay, expanding the form and then comparing the coefficients and then comparing the coefficients. Okay, this way it works fine, right? So what we can do is, since this form can be written like this, I can simply write 3y square minus 12y minus 15 is equal to, if I'll open this, I'll basically write y square plus 2ay plus a square plus b, and then if I'll open this, I'll get 3y square plus 6ay plus 3a square plus b, and here I'll get 3y square minus 12y minus 15. Alright, so that means if I compare now, this and this terms are same, so on comparison of the coefficients, I'll get 6a equal to negative 12 or a is equal to negative 2, and this is the constant term, so 3 times negative 2 whole square plus b is equal to negative 15. The constant term over here on the left hand side is negative 15, and so we will get 12 plus b equal to negative 15. This implies b equal to negative 27. Alright, yes. So now they had asked to write in this form. Now just plug in the values of a and b. Y minus 2 whole square minus 27. And that's your answer for the first point. I hope it is clear to you. Now, coming on to the second one. Here we have find the exact solution of x to the power 4 and x squared. So this is from the topic of complex quadratics. Right? So we know how to solve complex quadratics by assuming t equal to x squared. So that this final equation becomes 3t squared minus 12t minus 15 equal to 0. Alright, so in most of the calculators, right, which is allowed, which is basically fx, 991 and so on and so forth, in this calculators, we cannot solve a quadratic by quadratic, isn't it? Right, so we cannot solve these type of equations. So we can only solve cubic and quadratic. So I have to turn it into quadratic and then go ahead with this. Okay, so now you can plug in these values as a, b and c and get the value of t. So it's a calculator based question. Okay, so directly when you plug in, so you will basically get t equal to 5 and you'll get t equal to negative 1. Okay, now since we know that t is equal to x square, therefore we get x square equal to 5 or x square is equal to negative 1. Now we clearly know for the fact that any number square can never be negative, so there is no solution for this. And from here we get x equal to plus minus under root 1. And that's your answer for this second bit. Okay, now moving ahead. Second question, this is an interesting one. So it belongs to the topic of, functions basically. So let's quickly read this out. The diagram shows two curves. Okay, we have two curves, so let's call it as C1 and C2. One curve has an equation y equal to sin x. So this is basically sin x curve. So let me write it over here, sin x. Okay, and the other curve has an equation y equal to f of x. So this curve is y equal to f of x. In order to transform the curve y equal to sin x to the curve y equal to f of x, the curve y equal to sin x is first reflected in the x-axis. Okay, so sin x graph is given to us. Reflection about the y-axis means, or x-axis means what? So if I draw the graph of y equal to sin x, this is the graph of y equal to sin x basically. And if I reflect this, so instead of going like this, it basically becomes this. So which is nothing but negative sine x. Okay, right. So a reflection about the x-axis is basically this. So now if I see this graph, it is basically something like this. And also, how do I measure this? So they're asking us to describe fully a sequence of two further transformations which are required. So one transformation is already mentioned to us, which is reflected in the x-axis. And therefore, I can clearly see that since this graph is starting from 0, so this y equal to f of x is also starting from 0, right? So over here, instead of 0, it has become 2. Now, understand one thing. Always refer to your reference graph. If you know the basic fundamentals of sin x graph, this x-axis is called as the principal axis. What it is called as principal axis. Okay, and the amplitude that is with respect to this principal axis is same, isn't it? So same way, I can simply say the x-axis has moved to -2, right? From here it is starting, and if I draw this line, the x-axis has shifted 2 units down, isn't it? So that means what? So it is starting from -2, and this is the end. So this is one complete wave, I can say. Okay. So now, so first transformation is already given. So from here to here, from this to this is already given to us. Now this graph, this very graph, this blue color graph, okay, this was 0 to x-axis, and now this x-axis has actually shifted towards -2, right? Starting from -2. So -2 is my principal axis now. Principal axis. Now I need to check what is my amplitude. So this is my amplitude, 3 units down, right? And 3 units up, isn't it? So I can simply say it's a stretch, right? So first thing is it's a stretch because the principal axis is now over here. This is my principal axis. Stretch by a factor of 3. Okay, and this is about y-axis. Instead of about, I should rather write in the y-axis. I hope you are understanding this concept in y-axis. Okay, and so this thing is done. And now, is there any shift? Is there any phase change? That is what I need to check. So all we have to do over here is I need to just check my reference graph, which is sin x, starting from 0, ending at 2 pi. Right. Now this blue graph, which is the transformation of sin x, this is also ending at 2 pi. Okay, so there is no phase difference. So period of both the function is same, basically. All right. So what I need to do is from this x-axis is shifted downwards, isn't it? This is what we need to learn. Where is the principal axis? Original principal axis was the x-axis, and now it has shifted down to -2. So shift down is what? Isn't this the translation by 2 units? So how do you write this translation? Then there is a translation by a vector. X is not changing, right? I told you it is going from 0 to 2 pi, and this blue graph, the new graph, is also going from 0 to 2 pi, isn't it? You can clearly see there is one wave in the red color and the blue color. Okay, and we are referring to the blue one. So x is not changing, y is going down by 2 units. So these are my transformations, 2 marks and 2 minutes. I hope you understood the concept. Okay, now the next part is find f of x in terms of sin x. So how the transformation actually happens is always remember your reference graph. What is my reference graph? Y equal to sin x. Okay, and how the transformation happens actually, right? So let me write here transformation of any trigonometric function, right? Including all the transformations is amplitude multiplied by the sine bx plus c plus d, right? So there are total 4 parameters which are involved basically over here. A is called as the amplitude, right? D, this is called as basically your vertical shift, right? Vertical shift upwards or downwards by vertical translation basically. I can say vertical translation. Okay. C is basically called as my horizontal shift. In physics, it is also called as phase change. Okay, phase angle, we can call it as whether it is starting from, like for example, if one wave is starting like this and then the other wave is starting something like this. So there is a gap, right? So that is called as horizontal shift. And B is called as the period of the function. period of the function, whether it is sin x, cos x, or tan x, right? So we have clearly seen that there is no phase difference, right? Both are starting from this when x is 0, right? So there is no what do you call phase change. Okay, so there is no phase change, first thing. So no phase change means basically what happens, c is equal to 0 and b is 2 pi, right? What is the period of this function? How much is b? Which is 2 pi itself, isn't it? The period is also not changing because there is only one wave from 0 to 2 pi, right? And initially also there was only one wave which is given to us from 0 to 2 pi, isn't it? So there is only one wave, so it will remain sine x itself. What is the period of sine x? Sine x period is 2 pi. So the resultant graph after transformation is also 2 pi. So b is also, there is no change. Okay, no change. So it will remain sine x. Therefore, my final equation would be, I can conclude y equal to sine x, right? Now I'm worried about plus d and a. So a is the amplitude and d is the vertical shift. So vertical shift we have already seen from the transformation, which is -2, and a is the amplitude. So what is the principal axis? Principal axis is this -2 and amplitude is 3. Okay, yes. So amplitude is 3. So now I'll just write amplitude as -3. So y equal to 3 sine x minus 2. Now, how do we know whether it is positive or negative? So for that, you need to understand, they have mentioned here sine x is first reflected in the x-axis. So reflected in the x-axis means what? If I have y equal to f of x, it will become y equal to negative f of x, right? So I have to put a minus sign in front of this. And therefore, this is my final answer. Now students, how do you check whether your answer is correct or not? Okay, so just take one value. I need this pi, right? So let me quickly erase all these things. Now see here, at 90 degrees, what is the value on this function? You can quickly check. At 90 degrees, pi by 2, right? At pi by 2, your function is giving you minus pi. So just checking the answer. So you get y equal to -3 sine 90 degrees minus 2. Sine 90 is 1. So -3 times 1 minus 2 is -5. And we are supposed to get y as negative. That means this is your correct answer. I hope you're convinced with this. Now, coming on to the third question. Third question belongs to your basically binomial theorem. So they're asking the coefficient of x cube in the expansion of this is 160. So we know that a plus b whole thing to the power n opens with nc0, a to the power n, b to the power 0, nc1, a power n minus 1, b1, right? So now I need x power 3. So how I'll open this? The value of constant is given to us. So I'll write 6c. So where is constant a? A is there in the second term. So second term powers increase by 1, right? So when it will be 3, so when we write here 3, okay? So first term, which is 3 to the power 6 minus 3 times ax to the power 3, which is basically, equal to 160. So now the coefficient, they're saying the coefficient. So if I'll open this, I'll get 6c3, 3 to the power 3, a cube is equal to 160. I don't have to write this x because it is the coefficient, right? 160 is the coefficient. And therefore, once I solve this, 6c3 and this 27 times 6c3 a cube is equal to 160. I'll get here you to use your calculator, and therefore this will give you 8 over 27, and this implies a equal to 2 by 3. That's your answer. Okay, next. Hence find the coefficient of x cube in the expansion of this, right? Now understand. Basically, when you expand this, right, 3 plus ax to the power 6, there will be two terms, one with x square and another with x cube. Understand the concept behind this. And when you multiply with 1 minus 2x, right? So basically 1 minus 2x, or let me put it this way. You have 1 minus 2x and expand this thing. So you get 6c2. Let me start directly with 2. And then you have 3 to the power 4. 6 minus 2 is 4. And then you have ax to the power 2. Alright. Plus 6c3. And then you will get 3 to the power 3 ax to the power 3. Okay, now see here, when you multiply 1 with this cubic function, right, cubic term, x cube, you'll get a cubic term, right? And then negative 2x multiplied by this will also give you a cubic term. So what we will get is 6c2, 3 power 4 is 81, and then you get a square, x square multiplied by x with a negative 2. So negative 2 is multiplied here, and then we get 1 times this. 1 is getting multiplied by this. So 6c3, 27, a cube, x cube, right? So I have to find the coefficient. So this is x cube. I can take x cube common. So what we will get? We'll get 6c2 multiplied by negative 2 multiplied by 81 multiplied by a square. A value is 2 by 3. We have already found. So 2 by 3 whole thing to the power 2. Okay. Plus 27 times 8 by 27 times 6c3. Okay. So all I need to do is just add them together. So if I'll add them together, what I'll basically get is something sort of, this is negative, right? So this will eventually give you negative 1080, and this will give you plus 160 multiplied by x cube, obviously. So this answer is negative 920 x cube. So your answer is negative 920. Okay, I hope the concept is clear to you. Right. So always think like that, because x square term, your x square term, okay, x square term and x cube term, right? So one, the constant time x cube and x square times 2x. So linear multiplied by quadratic is cubic. So you have to keep that in mind. Okay. Next, very, very important concept over here, right? Although the question looks difficult, it is very, very easy. Now let's give it a try. It says the equation of a curve is y equal to f of x, where f of x equal to 2x minus 1. And then we have under root 3x minus 2 outside. The following points lie on the curve. Non-exact values have been given correct to 5 decimal places. Okay. So these are the points which are given to us. And we have find the value of k. Give your answer correct to 5 decimal places. So we have to find the value of k. That means we have to plug in this point, right? And all these points, they satisfy this curve, because it is mentioned the following points lie on the curve. And therefore, simply I need to do is, this is my x value and y is equal to k. Okay. So when x is 2.0001, all right. And then, so this is only called as k. F of x is only called as k, is equal to, I have to just plug in over here, times 2.0001, right, minus 1 under root opens. It's a calculator based question, so you don't have to worry much, but be careful while solving it, right? Put everything in brackets, and then you have minus 2. Okay, so the final answer to be subtracted by 2. So if you solve this, basically you will get k is equal to, if you plug in here, you'll get 4.000625, and they have mentioned 5 decimal places. So this is up to 6 decimal place. If you round this off up to 5 decimal places, you'll get 63. So the value of k is 4.0063. Alright. So it's a 1 marker, basic stuff. Now, the table shows the gradients of the chords AB, AC, AD, and AF, and find the gradient of the chord AE. Okay. So AE is the point. So let's write the coordinates of A, which is 2, 4, and the coordinates of E is basically 2.1, 4.63555566, isn't it? So what is the gradient? MAE. I should rather write it as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We can write like this. And therefore, my gradient y2, this is y2 value. Let me quickly recheck it. 4.63566. 4.63566. So I will write here 63566 minus 4 over x2 minus x1, right? So MAE eventually gives me 0.63566 divided by 0.1, which is nothing but 6.3566 up to 4 decimal place. So this is up to 4 decimal place, and that's our answer. Okay. Yes. Now, Coming on to the second one, you have to find the derivative and then it's just for 1 month, right? So you can use your calculator to find the derivative. Otherwise, I'll teach you how to do it manually. Okay. So I can simply say f of x is basically, and this is f dash of 2, right? When x is equal to 2. So f of x is how much? F of x is actually 2x minus 1, okay, multiplied by under root 3x minus 2. So 2x minus 1 under root 3x minus 2. It's for 1 month, so you have to use your calculator basically. Okay. Now, so if you open this, so you'll basically get 2x under root 3x minus 2 minus under root 3x minus 2 minus 2, right? And then you take 2 outside and they take this x inside, so it will become square. So 3x multiplied by x squared minus 2x squared minus under root 3x minus 2 minus 2, and that's your f of x. Okay. I'm not using calculator. That's the reason I'm doing it manually. Otherwise, you have to use your calculator. Okay. Now, so this basically becomes under root 3x cube. It is just for 1 month. So it's taking long for me because I'm not using calculator. Again, I'm reminding you about this minus 2. So now if I'll differentiate this, what will I get? Under root derivative is how much? Divided by 2 under root whatever it is, 3x cube minus 2x squared as it is. And then in the numerator derivative of the function. So which becomes 9x squared minus 4x. Okay. 2 and 2 cancels out, minus 1 over 2 under root as it is 3x minus 2. And then the derivative of 3x minus 2 in the numerator, which is 3. And then minus 2 derivative is 0 plus 0. Okay. Now, therefore, f dash of 2 will be how much? Just plug in 2 here. Minus 4 times 2 divided by under root 3 times 2 cube minus 2 times 2 square minus 3 over 2 times under root 3 times 2 minus 2. So if you solve this, you'll basically get 6 minus 3 by 4, which is nothing but 6.25. Okay. So you can use this in order to find the answer for f dash of 2. It's a 1 marker question, so you have to use your calculator. Directly you can get the gradient of this. Okay. I hope it is clear to you. Next. Fifth question belongs to trigonometry, right? I hope the symbol is clear to all of you. It's called as equivalent or the identity symbol, right? So my RHS, always look for what we have to prove RHS, and this is LHS, right? So RHS is completely in terms of causes. Now I can clearly see there is sine square x minus 1, right? So sine square x minus 1, I'll write them together, and this is what gives me. So I'll always start from LHS, and then in the denominator, I have 1 plus cos x, right? So now we know that since 1 minus sine square theta is basically equal to cos square theta. So if I write it as sine square x minus 1, that will be equal to negative cos square x, isn't it? So using this, I can simply write this thing as negative cos square x minus cos x over 1 plus cos x, right? Now, can I take negative cos x common from the numerator? Yes. So I'll get 1 plus cos x. And in the denominator, we already have 1 plus cos x, which cancels out. Hence proved negative cos x. All right. Okay. You can also do it by writing sine square x as, you can also do it by writing sine square x as 1 minus cos square x. That way also you can do it. You'll get the same answer. Okay. So there is no hard and fast rule that you have to follow what I am doing, but I'm just giving you the best approach. Okay. Now, see here. If I take this, it says n solve the equation and it equal to 1 by 4 from 0 to 360. That means all the 4 quadrants. This is my domain. And what happens over here is this value we already know. Sine square x minus cos x minus 1, 1 plus cos x. So this value is already we know it's equal to negative cos x, isn't it? So we know this, right? Now, here we have 2 and 2. If I take this common 2, so I can write this entire thing as negative cos x over 2 equal to 1 by 4. Yes or no? Yes. And therefore, from here, I get negative 1 by 2. Cross multiplication, this negative comes here. negative 1 by 2. Okay, now cos of what will give you 1 by 2? We know that cos 60 degrees is equal to 1 by 2. Yes or no? Yes, but cos 60 lies in the first quadrant. So it's positive, but here it is negative. So my principal value is how much? X is equal to 60 degrees. This is my principal value. Now I don't need this. Where is cos negative? I need cos to be negative, right? So where is cos negative? Cos is negative in the second quadrant and in the third quadrant. So this is 180. So my final answer, x1 would be 180 minus principal value, which is equal to 120 degrees, and then x2 180 plus 60. Okay, because 180 plus minus, there is no change. Okay, yes. So this becomes 240 degrees. All right. In the second quadrant and third quadrant, basically cos is negative. All right. Now coming on to the sixth question. It is something on graph. It says the function f is defined by f of x equal to 2 over x square plus 4, and the domain is x is less than 0. So this is the domain which is given to us. The diagram shows the graph of y equal to f of x. On this diagram, sketch the graph of y equal to f inverse of x. Show any relevant mirror line. Okay. Now, always remember by default, keep it in your mind. Whenever something is asked about inverse function, right? There are two things which should immediately click in your mind that whenever something is asked about inverse function, okay, blindly remember the domain of f of x will become the range of f inverse of x. All right. And the range of f of x will become the domain of f inverse of x. Are you getting this? So that means domain is x less than 0. That means this will be the range for f inverse of x, isn't it? So just by knowing this piece of information, I can guess where the graph will lie. Okay, so if x is less than 0 is the domain of f of x, which is equal to range of f inverse of x. So x less than 0, right? So lesser than 0 means negative, right? Lesser than 0 means what? My range is negative. So where y is negative, either in this quadrant or in this quadrant, isn't it? So we have to find the inverse. So let's quickly check how do we find the inverse of this. Okay. Now, one more thing to notice is the range is negative. Now, when the range will be negative, right? So I can check using some points to get a rough idea. Let's take this point, right? So let's say this is some x equal to negative a. Now y is positive, isn't it? So inverse exists when the function is 1, 1, isn't it? So now what happens for the inverse when y values is in the second quadrant, right? Then when I take the inverse of this, it will always be with respect to the 45-degree line. Always remember this. So this is basically 45-degree line or y equal to x. All right. So I know that the graph will lie over here. Now x has to be the input has to be positive, isn't it? Right. Now I have to check whether the graph will lie in the third quadrant or whether it will lie in the fourth quadrant. Now, how do I check this? Now come on to this. As I told you, domain becomes the range of f inverse of x, and the range will become the domain of f inverse of x. Okay. So now what is the range of f inverse? It is negative because the domain is negative for f of x, so it will become the range. So I know that my y is negative, so my graph will lie either in the third quadrant and the fourth quadrant. Now, how do I decide based on these two quadrants where exactly it will lie? So for that, I need to find the domain now. What is the range of this f of x? Let's quickly check the range of f of x. So f of x is basically 2 over x square plus 4. Isn't this always a positive function? It is always greater than 0, isn't it? So 2 over x square plus 4. What type of function is this? Isn't this term always positive? 2 over x square plus 4. 2 is positive, 4 is positive, and x square is positive, right? So that means the range of f of x is always positive, right? Which is given to us over here, isn't it? So this y is positive. This graph is already positive. So that means if y values are positive, my x will be positive for the f inverse. And therefore, how the graph will look like? It will look something sort of this. Are you getting it? Yes. Okay. Now, it says find an expression for f inverse of x. So what I can do is let's first quickly find f inverse of x, and therefore f inverse of x would be, first I'll write f of x is equal to 2 over x squared plus 4. Okay, and then I'll write y equal to 2 over x squared plus 4. And then next step, I'll simply write it down over here that x is equal to 2 over y squared plus 4, and then x minus 4 equal to 2 over y squared, and this implies y square equal to 2 over x minus 4, or y is equal to under root 2 over x minus 4 with a plus minus sign. Okay, now this is defined when x is not equal to 4, because if x is equal to 4, 2 by 0 is not defined. So x should not be equal to 4, and therefore this is my f inverse of x. Okay, now whether it should be positive or negative, that I already discussed over here, right? So it has to be negative. Why? Because the domain here is negative. Okay, since x is less than 0 is the domain, and domain will become the range. Okay, so my f inverse of x will be negative. Understood? Because the graph is lying in the fourth quadrant. Why is it lying? Because domain is negative, so the range will be negative. So y will be negative. F inverse over here is acting as a new y. Okay, and x should not be equal to 4. So x equal to 4 will be my asymptote, where the graph will appear to touch, but it will never touch. So that's x equal to 4. So when you mention this line x equal to 4, which is called as the asymptote, then only you'll get 2 marks. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, and then this is the expression for it. So now let me clear this, and let's see the next part of this question. Now we are given with f of x equal to 4.5, right? So all we need to do is just write 4.5 is equal to 2 over x squared plus 4. This implies 0.5 is equal to 2 over x squared, and this implies 1 by 2 equal to 2 over x squared, right? And therefore this implies x squared is equal to 4, or x equal to 2 or minus 2. Now we have to check f of x is defined for what? It is defined for x less than 0, right? The domain is lesser than 0. Therefore, I'll eliminate 2, and x is equal to minus 2 is my solution. Okay. Don't just blindly write x equal to 2 and minus 2. You have to be very careful with the functions chapter. Okay. Now, explain why the function f inverse of x is equal to f of x has no solution. Coming on to the fourth bit. Now, let's try to understand this. What do you mean by f inverse x is equal to this? This simply means point of intersection. Okay. If there is no point of intersection, that means there is no solution. Okay. That is one way to check the graph. Are these graphs intersecting? No. Right. So one reason you can write is since the graphs do not intersect, therefore there is no solution. Otherwise, you know f inverse is negative of 2 over x minus 4 equal to f of x is 2 over x squared plus 4. Right. This is your method 2, or you can say the second reason. So how do you put this? Since your RHS is always positive, this is a positive term, and here it is negative. So how can a positive term be equal to negative? And this is always positive, right? It is always positive, and my LHS is always negative, and henceforth this can never be equal to this, right? And henceforth there are no solutions. All right, now moving on to the seventh question. Let's see what it says. It says in the diagram AOD and BC are two parallel lines. So AOD, this is parallel to BC, that is given to us. And then it says arc AB is a part of a circle with center O, right? So if O is the center and AB is an arc, then OB will also be 15 centimeters because it is radius, right? So this will also be 15 centimeters. Always write the given information once you read the question, right? Side by side, keep on writing the given data. This will help you to, process the details, and it gives you a clear cut clarity about how to proceed further. So now angle BOA is theta radians, right? So this is given to us as theta radians. Arc CD is part of a circle with center O. All right, so this will be 10 then, because this is an arc, right? So this is also 10 centimeters since OD is equal to OC. Reason is radius. So now since these two lines are parallel, I can say alternate interior angles. So if this is theta, this will also be theta. And the reason is alternate interior angles. And therefore now it's a right angle triangle over here, right? This is 90, so this will also be 90. Okay. Why? Again, alternate interior angles, 90 and 90. So now in this triangle, this is 10, this is 15, and this is theta, and this is 90 over here. So we have hypotenuse and opposite to theta is given. So directly I can apply the ratio of sine theta, which is 10 over 15. And therefore, sine theta is equal to 2/3. And therefore, theta is equal to sine inverse of 2/3. So, which is nothing but 0.7297. Up to 4 decimal places they had asked, so that's your answer. Okay. Now moving on to the second part. It says find the perimeter and the area of the shape ABCD. Give your answers correct to 3 significant to this. So let's find the perimeter first. Perimeter means the periphery, right? So I should know what is the perimeter. This AB plus BC plus CD and then AD, right? So out of these things, what and all we know? We know this is 25. This complete thing is 25. And then here I'll apply L equal to R theta, the arc formula. And this one will be, let me use a different color first. So here this will be 15 square minus 10 square using Pythagoras theorem. And this will again be L equal to R theta. Okay. So now R is 10 and theta is pi by 2. So you get this. Now all we have to do is just add them up. So what will be the perimeter? We have 25 plus pi pi. How I am getting 5 pi is because of this, right? This will be equal to 5 pi, the CD length. And then we have BC, which is 15 square minus 10 square under root. And that value is nothing but basically pi root 5. Okay. And then you have L equal to R theta for the arc length AB. So AB is also R theta, which is 15, and theta we know it is 0.7297. So L equal to R times theta. Theta we have already calculated in the previous part. And then when you add this up, you will basically get 62.8. Okay, obviously centimeters. So this is up to 3 significant figures. I hope it is clear to you. Now, moving on to the area. Okay, so area of the sector, what it is, half r square theta, isn't it? Plus area of the triangle, half base into height, plus area of another sector, half r square theta. Okay, so we have these values. So I'll just plug in over here. First radius is 15, and then the theta is 0.7297. Okay, plus we have half base into height. Where is base into height? This is pi root pi, this length, right? And this is 90 over here. So I can consider base as 10 and height as pi root pi. So eventually it will become 10 times pi root pi. Okay. And then plus we have half r square theta. So which is nothing but r square is 100. And then theta we already know it's pi by 2 times 1 by 2 becomes pi by 4. So if you'll add this up, you'll get basically 217 centimeters square. Okay, that is the area up to 3 significant figures. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you. This area is basically 10 square times theta divided by 2. Okay, area of sector, and this is also area of sector, and this is area of triangle basically. Okay, all right. Now moving on to the 8th question. Let's see what it says. Basically, this belongs to arithmetic progression. Okay, it says the first 3 terms of an arithmetic progression. The moment you see arithmetic progression, immediately common difference should click in your mind. Okay, common difference and arithmetic mean. Whenever 3 terms are given to you, always think of arithmetic mean. What is arithmetic mean? If A, B, C are in AP, these 3 terms, then I can simply say A plus C divided by 2 is equal to B, or A plus C is equal to 2B. All right. So applying the concept of arithmetic mean over here, what we get is twice of B. B is the second term. This is A and this is C, right? So A plus C. So 25 plus 13 minus P. And this eventually gives us 8P minus 2 equal to 25 plus 13 minus p. I'll take the like terms to one side. 9p equal to 25 plus 13 plus 2, which is nothing but 40, and therefore p equal to 40 over 9. So we got the value of p. Now, once we have the value of p, I need to find what is the second term. They have asked find the value of the 10th term. So we have to find a 10th, isn't it? General term. So what is the nth term? Nth term will be given by a plus n minus 1 times d. So this will become a plus 9d. So now I need to find the common difference. So for that, I need to find the second term. So the second term here is 4p minus 1, which is 4 times 40 over 9 minus 1, which is 160 over 9 minus 1, which is 151 over 9. Okay, this is the second term. Second term minus the first term. Okay, so I need to find d now. 151 over 9 minus 25, and this will give me d as negative 74 over 9. So I got the common difference. How I got it? This is second term minus the first term, and first term is 25. It's given to us over here. Okay, now we have the common difference. Now I'll just substitute these values. A is 25 plus 9 times negative 74 over 9. 9 and 9 cancels out. You get A10 as 25 minus 74, which is equal to negative 49. And that's your answer. Okay, perfect. Now, coming on to the B part, the first three terms of a GP, right? Geometric progression means there will be a common ratio. Always think of it like this. So common ratio. So common ratio means what? It's first term, second term, and third term. That means 4q minus 1 divided by first term, 25 will be equal to third term divided by 13 minus q divided by 4q minus 1. So cross multiplication will give 4q minus 1 whole square equal to 25 times 13 minus q. Okay. So solving this, we'll get 16q square minus 8q plus 1 equal to 25 times 13 minus 25q. So if you solve this, you'll get a quadratic which will get you 16q square plus 17q minus 324 equal to 0. So you'll get this quadratic equation. Now, once we solve for q, using calculator, you can plug in this as a, b, and c is negative 324. So you'll get the value of q as 5.0625, and you'll get this as negative and this as 4. Okay. So now we know that here q is a positive constant. So I can eliminate this negative root, this value. So q is equal to 4. This is what we got. Now we know q, and we have to find the sum to infinity in the progression. This you will get in the MF19 formula sheet, the formula for sum to infinity if you don't remember. Otherwise, it is a over 1 minus r. Okay. So now we got q value. Now we need to find the value of r. So r is basically 4q minus 1 divided by the first term, which is 25, right? So we get 16 minus 1 divided by 25, which is 15 by 25, which is nothing but 3 by 5. And therefore, plugging in the formula of S infinity, we get a over 1 minus r. So a is 25, 1 minus 3 by 5. This is sum to infinity. And sum to infinity, therefore, will give you 25 into 5 over 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. And then that 5 goes up. So you get 125 over 2. That's your answer for this. All right, moving on to the ninth question. It says, we have basically volume of revolution, which says, the diagram shows part of the curve with the equation y equal to 1 over 5x minus 4 to the power 1/3. And the lines x equal to 2.4 and y equal to 1. So this is basically a y equal to 1. And we have to find the exact volume of the solid generated when the shaded region is rotated through 360 degrees above the x-axis. So what is the formula for volume? It's pi y square dx. Okay, whenever it is above the x-axis means dx. If it is above the y-axis, it means dy. Now, remember, whenever you have the bounded area, right, and that is rotated, always remember the volume will be, this is upper minus lower curve. Okay. So the formula for the volume from x values, x goes from where to where? 1 to 2.4, isn't it? So 1 to 2.4 pi y upper whole square minus pi lower whole square with respect to dx. All right. Now, we'll just substitute these values. Y upper value is what? Y equal to 1 line. So 1 square minus pi y. Y is how much? 1 over pi x minus 4. Whole thing to the power 1/3. And then the whole square of it. Isn't it? And then we have dx from the limits 1 to 2.4. So pi is a constant. I can take it outside. And then I can simply write 1 to 2.4. I have here 1 minus 1 over pi x minus 4. Now whole square means what? Power to the power gets multiplied. So this becomes 2/3 and then dx. Now I need to integrate this entire expression from the limits 1 to 2.4. So this is x, right? 1 to 2.4. And then I need to find the integral of this part. So I'm doing the integral of this part over here using substitution, right? So I'm just using substitution for this. So I'll assume t equal to phi x minus 4. Therefore, dt with respect to x is phi dx. Okay. So now dx can be written as dt over phi. And therefore, I can write it as dt over phi. And this becomes t to the power 2/3. And then I need to integrate this expression. And we have 1 over here, right? So finally, what we get over here is 1 to 2.4. Here we get x minus, now 1 by t to the power 2/3. So what will be the answer? Negative will become positive basically, isn't it? Yes. So now this is already negative here, right? We have the constant 1 by 5 and this will become 2/3. So t to the power minus 2 by 3 plus 1 over minus 2 by 3 plus 1. We have to integrate this, right? And the sign is negative. So let it be negative. So this becomes t to the power 1/3 times 3. So 3 gets multiplied here. And then we have t to the power 1 by 3. Okay. So this is what we got from the limits 1 to 2.4. Now we'll just substitute the value of t back in terms of x. So I'll get x minus, this is 1 times 3. So gets 3 by 5. Pi x minus 4 to the power 1/3 under the limits 1 to 2.4. Okay. Therefore, we get y equal to upper limit. Substitute the limits 2.4 minus 3 by 5. 5 times 2.4 is basically 12 minus 4 to the power 1/3, right? Minus 1 minus 3/5. And then this is 5 minus 4 is 1. 1 to the any power is 1. So we'll get this, right? And pi is outside. So I can write volume is equal to this 2.4 minus 3. This is 8 to the power 1/3, which is 2. So 2 times 5. Okay. Minus this becomes 5 minus 3 over 5. And therefore, final answer, substituting this 2.4 minus 6 by 5. All right. Minus 2 by 5. So this becomes 12 minus 8 by 5. Right. 12 minus 8 by 5. So 12 minus 8 by 5 we have over here. And this is finally written as 4 by 5 times 5 centimeter cube. If it is in centimeters, then centimeters cube. So nothing is mentioned. So unit cube, I'll write. So I'll just mention here unit cube. Okay. So that is the answer. Now, moving on to the next question. The next question basically belongs to circle and it says the line. Okay, is tangent. So the equation of the circle is given to us x minus 3 whole square plus y square equal to 18. The line with equation y equal to mx plus c passes through the point 0, comma minus 9. So this is the point and is a tangent to the circle, right? So get a rough sketch. Let's suppose this is the circle and this is the point at which the tangent is touching the circle. So this is point of intersection, right? And what do we mean by point of intersection? That means y values are same. So all I need to do is just substitute y values over here, whole square plus y equal to mx plus c whole square equal to 18, right? This equation of the tangent satisfies the equation of the circle as well because it is touching at this point, right? Now, how to get this point c? So I already know y is equal to mx plus c. So when x is 0, so this becomes 0 plus c. And then y is how much? -9, right? So we get negative 9 is equal to c. Therefore, c value we have it as negative 9. Are you getting it? So because this point is satisfying the equation of the tangent. So we get x minus 3 whole square plus mx minus 9 whole square equal to 18. Now, all we need to do is just expand this. So what we'll basically get is x square minus 6x plus 9, right? Plus m square x square. Okay. Now, m square x square minus 18 mx plus 81 equal to 18. All right. Now, taking the like terms together, so we get 1 m square x square. Then we get minus I outside 18m plus 6x. And then we get plus 90 minus 18 equal to 0. So rearranging this, 1 plus m square x square minus 18m plus 6x plus 72 equal to 0. Now we get a quadratic equation in terms of x. Now we have already learned this concept of single point, right? It's a quadratic equation. What kind of equation is this? It's a quadratic equation. And this point of intersection is only one solution, isn't it? So it is intersecting, it is touching the circle only at one point, and therefore this is the condition for one solution. So for one solution, what is the condition for discriminant? D is equal to 0. Therefore, b square minus 4ac is equal to 0. This is a, this is b, and this is c. Okay. So I can write 18m plus 6 whole square. Now, here b is negative, so negative square is positive. Minus 4ac, 1 plus m square times 72 is equal to 0. All right. So now when you expand this, you will get 324 m square plus 216m plus 36 minus 288 minus 288 m square is equal to 0. All right. So solving it further, we get 36 m square plus 216m minus 252 equal to 0. And therefore use the calculator to get the value of m. So get m equal to 1 or minus 7, right? So we got the values of m, 1 and minus 7. Now we have to solve for m equal to 1. M equal to 1. Now put it back in this equation. No, not in this one. Where is that equation? Yeah, this one. So this is our equation in which we have to keep the m value. Okay, final equation. So I'll just put it over here. So 1 plus 1 x square plus 18 plus 6, not plus, it's minus. And then we have plus set, and obviously x here 72 equal to 0. So what we get from here is 2x squared minus 24x plus 72 equal to 0. Once you solve for x, you'll get x equal to 6 from here. And now we got m equal to 1 when x is equal to 6, right? So now we need to find the coordinates. That is what they have asked. Find the coordinates of the point at which the tangent touches the circle. So what is y value over here? What is the equation of the tangent? Y equal to mx minus 9, right? This is the equation for the tangent. So now we'll find the y value, y equal to mx, right? Minus 9. Now m is equal to 1. So y equal to 1 times 6 minus 9, which is equal to negative 3. So therefore the point is 6 comma minus 3. This is the first point. Now let's solve for the other one. For m equal to negative 7, we'll get 50x squared plus 120x plus 72 is equal to 0. And when you solve for x, you'll get x as negative 6 by 5. Therefore y equal to negative 7 6 by 5 minus 9, or y equal to 42 by 5 minus 9, or y equal to negative 3 by 5. So the next point is negative 6 by 5 comma negative 3 by 5. That is the answer for this. So what is this? This is the equation for the tangent. Equation of tangent. From there, we are getting the value of the y. Okay. Now moving on to the next question, which is 11th one. Here it says, a function is defined by f of x equal to 4 by x cube minus 3 by x plus 2 for x not equal to 0. Obviously, when x is 0, it is not defined. The graph of the function is shown in the diagram. Find the set of values of x for which f of x is decreasing function. So how do we know what is the condition for decreasing function? It is the f prime x, right? The first derivative is lesser than 0. Now, first we have to differentiate this. So what is the derivative of 4 by x cube? It's negative 4 times 3 and then increase the power by 1. Then negative will become positive. 3 by x squared is less than 0. So what we get here is LCM of x power 4 and x power 2 is x power 4. And this becomes negative 12 plus 3 times x squared is less than 0. Or I can simply say 3x squared minus 12 is less than 0. And if I take 3 common, I'll get x squared minus 4 is less than 0. Since x squared minus 4 is basically x plus 2 times x minus 2, a square minus b square identity I can apply over here. So I can write x plus 2 and x minus 2 is lesser than 0, taking 3, right? So how I got this? I've divided both the sides by 3. So we get this. Now get the roots. So the roots are uh, negative 2 and positive 2. And use the same sign of the inequality, right, like this, and keep x in the middle. So you have to write the lower root. The least root has to be written on the left hand side, and the greatest root has to be written on the right hand side. So this is the answer for the range of values of x. Now, moving on to this triangle one, it says a triangle is bounded by the y-axis, the normal to the curve at the point where x is equal to 1, and the tangent to the curve at the point where x is equal to minus 1. So first I have to find the normal to the curve where x is equal to 1. Okay, so what is my f dash of 1? So I have to find this. So f dash of 1 is basically, what is my equation of f dash of 1? So f dash of x is basically this, right? So let me quickly write it down. Negative 12 by x to the power 4 plus 3 over x squared. So this becomes negative 12 by 1 plus 3 by 1, which is equal to negative 9. So this is the slope of tangent, right? First derivative is gives you the slope of the tangent, isn't it? So now once we have the slope of the tangent, what is the slope of the normal at 1? Right, so slope of normal will be negative reciprocal of this, which is equal to 1 by 9, isn't it? So the slope of the normal, this we are doing for the normal. So for the normal, I need to know the slope of the tangent, and then I'll take the negative reciprocal of this, because normal and tangent both are mutually perpendicular, right? So normal and tangent both are mutually perpendicular. So we got the slope and I need to find the point, right? Then only I can find the equation of the normal. So the point is x equal to 1. When x is equal to 1, how much is y? So y becomes the equation here. So f of 1 I can quickly find. So it will be f by 3 minus 3 by 1 plus 2. So it becomes 6 minus 3, which is equal to 3. So the point is 1 comma 3, right? So the point is 1 comma 3, and we know the slope. Therefore, equation of normal would be y equal to mx plus c, and therefore y equal to slope is 1 by 9x plus c. And then just plug in this point when x is 1, y is 3. So we get the value of c as 3 minus 1 by 9. Therefore, c is equal to 27 minus 1 over 9, which is 26 by 9, right? And therefore, y is equal to x by 9 plus 26 by 9. This is the equation for the normal. Now we have to find the equation for the tangent. So equation of tangent, for that I need to find at x equal to minus 1. That is what is given to us. We have to find at x equal to minus 1. So first we'll find the slope. So slope of tangent is equal to, at minus 1, it's again equal to negative 12 plus 3, which is equal to negative 9, right? So let's quickly check once. So here if I plug in negative 1, I'll basically get mm, at x equal to minus 1, right? So yeah, I'll get the same thing. Mm, minus 12 by minus 1 to the power 4 plus 3 by minus 1 to the power 2. Yes, it's minus 12 plus 3, which is equal to negative 9. Right, from this equation, this is my f dash of x. So the slope remains the same for the tangent, which is minus 9. Okay. Okay, so minus 9 we got, and then we have to find the y value as well. So y is equal to basically, mm, once we have this, so the point is at minus 1, we have to find the value of y as well. So where is f of x? So f of minus 1 is how much? This becomes negative 4. Minus 1 cube is negative 1, and negative plus negative becomes positive. Minus 3 over x. X is negative 1. So it becomes 5 minus 4, which is equal to 1. Okay. So y is equal to 1. So we have y value as well, which is equal to 1. So the point is negative 1 comma 1, and the slope is equal to negative 9. Therefore, we have to find the equation. So y equal to mx plus c, or y equal to negative 9 x plus c. And now y is 1 when x is negative 1. So therefore c is equal to negative 8. And from here we have the equation for the tangent as minus 9x minus 8. Okay, so this is the equation for the tangent. So now this has the negative slope. So something sort of this. And we have the y-axis. We have to find the triangle, right? So this is my y-axis, and this is the line. And we have this as the x-axis. So this is my normal, sorry, tangent. This is the equation for the tangent, negative slope. And this point is how much? The y-intercept is negative 8. So this point is 0 comma minus 8. Okay, this is the tangent. And what is the equation for the normal? Equation for the normal is 1 by 9, 26 by 9. The y-intercept is 26 by 9. So I'm just drawing the rough sketch of it. So somewhere here. So this y-intercept is 0 comma 26 over 9. All right. So now I need to find. So I get a triangle. Let me name this as A, B, and this point is C, right? So I need to find basically this distance, which is the vertical distance. So I need point A. So point A is nothing but the intersection of normal and tangent. Point A is intersection of normal and the tangent. Okay. So we get 9 minus 9x minus 8 equal to, what should we write? X by 9 plus 26 by 9. So when we solve this, we'll get negative 81x minus 72 equal to x plus 26. Rearranging this, we'll get 82x is equal to negative 98, or x equal to negative 98 over 82, which is negative 49 over 41. Okay, so this is the value of x distance. So I need only x coordinate because that will give me the distance, x distance, which is the height, right? So this x is nothing but the height of the triangle, right? So the x coordinate is negative 49 by 41. I don't need y value. Okay, so this distance we have, and we have the base. So now base is how much? I need to add it up, right? So base is 26 by 9 plus 8. It's a distance, right? So don't add negative 8. It's a distance. So I have to eliminate the negative sign. So this becomes 72 plus 26 over 9, which is nothing but 98 over 9. So I have the base, I have the height, and therefore final answer, area is equal to half times base times height. So 98 over 9 times 49 over 41. I'll take the positive because height is the distance, and therefore this becomes 49. 49 square is 2401 over 369, which is approximately 6.51. And that's your answer. So I hope it's clear to you. And for more such videos on past papers, do subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.